Hey babe, welcome back. Thank you once again for joining us. Just remember, I have no medical background. I am not a psychologist. I'm just a girl who's lived life and happy to share her experiences. Enjoy.
All of what I'm saying, all of this openness, sometimes I ask myself, Charity, particularly in starting this channel, I've sat and I've asked God many times, am I dying? Why am I opening up at this level? Why am I doing this? Yay! Okay. Hey babe, how you doing? Welcome back. It's been a good week. It's been a good week. It's been an excellent week. I'm back. I'm Thembie from I Think I Write, I Think I Pray, I Think I Read. And Charity is back.
I'm back.
She's back with a bang. So I decided to invite Charity along because the topics that I'm handling in the next few weeks are going to be a bit heavy, and I just felt like if I didn't have a moderator, there are going to be lots of tears, but we're not trying to cry. We're trying to, help people into their new beginnings. And so I just thought, what, Charity, please come through, sit there, stop me from talking, because I can go on and on and on. Yeah. Guide me. Otherwise, I will be a complete mess. So, yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm very good.
Good.
I'm very good.
I'm good too.
How's the fam?
Good.
This one.
They're good.
We're not going to say anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if it happens to come up,
no,
we will say it anyway. So anyway, the things that I'm going to talk about will probably be very triggering. So if you are sensitive to certain information, I would advise that you stop now, because we will be talking about hurtful matters that can, if you haven't dealt with them in full, could really trigger a downward spiral. But if you find yourself in a position where you want to listen, and you find yourself in a position where you are triggered, I would suggest that you go back to the peace series that I did a couple of weeks ago, where I'm talking about peace with your past, peace with your present, and peace with your progress. That will help you to remind yourself that this is not the end, this is not the finality of your life, this is just a phase that you can journey through at your own pace until you find your complete healing. So with that being said, our topic for today is my deepest, darkest secrets dealing with sexual abuse. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word sexual abuse on YouTube, because my search has come up with results from a year ago, 2 years ago. So maybe somewhere along the line it was banned, or there's restrictions. So I'm going to use the words violation, and I'm going to use the words, I don't know, maybe violation is what I'll use. So before I start, I want to categorically say, and I got this from a research paper done in Australia through the Australian Institute of Family Studies, and it was written by Judy, Cashmore and Rita Shackel in January, and published in January 2013. But I'm using this to remind you that I'm not a psychologist. I'm not in the medical field. I'm just sharing, personal experience. And in that sharing personal experience, I'm not really sharing private things. I'm just sharing, the broader aspect of what could and what was, So I'm going to read this, and I hope this helps anyone out there as we speak. It says, child sexual abuse, which I will from now on say violation. Child violation covers a broad range of violative activities perpetrated against children, mostly by someone known and trusted by the child. The research on the longer term impact of child violation indicates that there may be a range of negative consequences for mental health and adjustment in childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. 3, not all victims experience these difficulties. Family support and strong peer relationships appear to be important in buffering the impact. 4, recent research indicates that male victims are less likely to disclose their abuse and take longer to do so. Male and female victims may be impacted in different ways. 5, it is not straightforward to tease out the effects of child violation and other adverse experiences in childhood and adulthood, including being victimized again. But more recent rigorous research is better able to do so. And 6, aspects of the abuse, including the relationship with the perpetrator and the betrayal of trust, the age and gender of the child, and the particular form of abuse are significant factors. Right. So this is from the learned group. This is from the brains. Now we're just going to talk from the emotional, the emotional and from the experience. So I am not in any way going against anything that has been studied. I'm just maybe trying to affirm, but also at the same time trying to make one understand as we go on this journey of accountability, good accountability versus bad accountability. What will cause a human being, or what will cause you as a person to shy away from telling people about your issues or from trusting people, and sometimes from being a trustworthy person to somebody who needs to be accountable in certain aspects of their lives. Right. Shall we begin?
Yes. Let's begin.
Let us begin. Right. So I'm going to start with talking about my own experience. My earliest memory of violation was at the age of 5. I remember being in nursery school, and I remember living obviously at home. And I remember the family was big because we had extended family. I remember having people that I loved dearly and people that I respected. I mean, I was a kid. And I remember it wasn't just the person in my home, it was another person next door, and it was another person at another relative's house. So from 3 different angles, I had perpetrators coming at me. And then it wasn't just them. It was the random family gathering where somebody pulls you aside and says, I want to give you a present. And then they just do whatever they want to do. And it somehow becomes normal. This box is created that makes you feel like this is who you were meant to be. This is who you were made to be for men, right? Because all of these are men.
Yeah.
Whether they're teenage men or young adult men or a father, it's a male species, and these people seem to all have one common goal. They are allowed to violate you in their own way. So for me, that created the box of, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I was going to ask my mom to send me one of my pictures when I was a baby, and I was standing on her lap, and I was up there, and my eyes were big and they were bright, and you could tell that this child was too clever. But somewhere along the line, I lost that. Somewhere along the line, that bright sparkness disappeared, particularly in the home. And it was because of this box that had been created. I became conditioned to a certain, it didn't matter whether I was at home in my room or watching TV. It was random. So I didn't know when to expect that somebody would need to do whatever they needed to do. And it became, so you kind of lose your spark. It's there, you have moments when you come out, but then you have moments of withdrawal because now you're not sure. If they walk into the room, you're not sure if they're going to say,
What's that?
Hamba. For me, it was like, go to the bathroom or go to the bedroom. I'm coming. Or I'm going to go out first. You follow. This is a 5-year-old child. And you're already conditioned to that. You're already conditioned to a command. You're playing with your friends. And some person just comes and says, I want so-and-so to do something for me. Come now. And you know. And they'll say, no, I don't want everyone. Or they'll send others to the shops. And you stay there. So you're put into this condition and into this box. You go to this relative's house and you know somewhere along the line, so-and-so is going to pull you aside. Or they're going to act like they're carrying you, but they're doing other things, with you. And they don't realize what they're doing. They're putting you in this conditioning. There's a term that is used now, and that term is, they use it with R. Kelly. What do they say? They say grooming.
Oh.
It literally is grooming you into the coitus object that they want you to be. And so I had it coming from many different angles. And it created a box that entrapped my mind. It created a box of secrets. It taught me how not to tell. So even if I wanted to, I was always told, don't do this, don't do that, do this.
And you never wanted to tell a friend?
Of course
a cousin? I mean, obviously you'd be scared to tell an adult, but... Of
course I did. Of course I wanted to tell. Of course I wanted to get out of it because, listen, to be honest with you, anyone who violates you makes you feel like this is what is meant to be. This is how it's done. But deep down on the inside, you know it's not.
No, it's not.
Anything that makes you uncomfortable, you're like, you don't want it. And you want to tell somebody. But there's always innuendos. There are people that will come to you and say, don't you dare. I will kill. They will threaten. But then there are people that will come and be nice, give you a sweet, give you a reward you.
Money.
And then there are people that will just reason with you. I used to be told candidly, don't sit next to your father, sit next to your mom. That's what I used to be told. So this man, my father, loves me to death. I know he would protect me in any regard. But I'm not allowed to go to him. And if I did go to my dad, I'd be given an eye. That only I could see. And even if it wasn't an eye that I could see, I was scared because I was conditioned. So I'm put into this box. I'm put into this atmosphere. I'm put into this that doesn't allow you to speak. And so sometimes you begin to act out. And everybody else doesn't understand because they don't know what you're going through.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether it's just being touched or it's being penetrated or it's being whatever. It's besides the point. When somebody does something to you that you don't like, you tense up. So I would tense up. But I learned how to keep secrets. And I wasn't keeping secrets about one person. I was keeping secrets about 3 people, which meant that anybody who pulled me aside and did whatever, I knew how to keep their secret. So I grew up secretive. I grew up saying lots of everything else and nothing of what mattered. I grew up as that kind of girl. But not only did I grow up as that kind of girl, I grew up as a girl that lied a lot. I had so many lies. Why? Because I would have to explain to my mother where I was. If I disappeared for 30 minutes and she had called me and he had held me and said, shh, shh, shh. Now I have to go and explain. So I have to say, no, I went out and I was sleeping. And you have to come up with a lie. You're 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, and for me, this stretched up. It's a burden, babe. And it's an entrapment. It's a cage. And that cage, unfortunately, doesn't just disappear because it stops. Because for me, it started stopping when I started my period. Thank God for my period. Because now they were scared. I mean, back then, condoms were not a big thing.
No,
So hardly anyone was using them. But now they were scared. I was going, I'm one girl who's grateful that I started my period. I'm not the girl who cried. I'm the girl who said, thank you, Lord. Because it freed me. Wow. Now imagine if I was a late bloomer. So by age 12, it started stopping because they became afraid of the inevitable. I was going to carry a baby and they didn't want to be associated. Of course, none of them knew that the other one was doing whatever they were doing. But anyway, so I grew up as a girl who had secrets, a girl who used to lie, and a girl who was never fully free, to express herself in the things that mattered. I would express myself in other things. I would try by all means to be extremely intelligent at school, be an A student. I'd try by all means to have friends. But I just could not bring myself out, and this is the early years, I could not bring myself out to say what was important for me to be freed from it. Also, I guess back then our parents didn't really know how to have these conversations.
No, they didn't. You'd find that if you had come out and told your parents, most parents would tell you to hush, don't tell anybody.
Absolutely.
And you suffer by yourself.
Absolutely.
And the man or whoever is doing this to you continues to do it.
That's it. Because it was embarrassing.
Very.
To the family.
Family, exactly.
It's embarrassing.
They protected these people more than their own
That's
child.
That's it. And that was sad. I think that is something that, to be honest, I'm not even sure if I'm doing it right with my kids right now. But it's something that I pray continuously I am able to get right for the sake of my children. Something that then happened, and I'm reading from the points that I kind of jotted down, is I found myself with an emptiness,
Of course,
and a void, and feeling unloved because I was unprotected. And that void grew bigger when my father passed on at 9. Because now my only hope for salvation was just taken away, like that. And so I noticed that I would then look for love everywhere else. So I'd look for love with my friends.
Yeah.
I wanted to be accepted.
Exactly.
I wanted to be loved. I wanted my codependency, even up to now, is very heavy. I can become very heavy on a person when I become codependent, because all I'm looking for is a love that won't hurt me, that won't be associated with hurt. But guess what? I continuously found love where there was hurt.
Yeah.
I could not be loved by people that had my best interests at heart.
You're used to that certain type of love.
Yes.
You think that is the normal love that you deserve.
The love, I found that in my friendships. I was always, maybe it wasn't the reality, but I always felt like a third wheel. Like, you two are best friends and I am number 3. But that was okay. At least I was there. I began to accept less than I deserved. And I found that it was okay for my friends to hurt me. I told the story once of how people used to walk around like this.
Yeah.
And it was okay as long as they were still talking to me. So I also did this. To be acceptable, to be loved, to be handled, and I'm not able to express my true feelings. Like, guys, you're hurting me. I can't, because I've been taught to lie. I've been taught to be secretive. So I can't say to them, listen, please don't say that. Don't do that. I had words like weird thrown at me. I had friends who were friends today and tomorrow would pull away, and I'd have to accept it as it is. And you know me. When I decide to give you space, I'm like, okay, no, she doesn't need me right now. It's okay, you know. And I just realized that for a long time I expected pain in the middle of love. And so I took it. So in relationships that were abusive, whether it was a partner or whether it was a boss or whether it was a friend or whether it was a subordinate, the pain for me came with it. It must come with it. I have to be hurt by you if I am to enjoy love from you. Which is warped. It is extremely warped and extremely unfair. And for a long time, you will take it. You will take the hurt. You will take the pain. You will take the discouragement. You will take the, being talked down to. You will take the being, mistreated.
Yeah.
Because all you want is, okay, well, at least
there's a little bit of some love there.
Somewhere there.
Somewhere.
Even if it's minute, you will take it. Because you've been damaged by the fact that in your formative years, all the love you had from your mom, your dad, came with this spike, this thorn at the side. Another thing that I found was that I ran away a lot. Mentally, I ran away. My thoughts. I created stories in my head. Remember, I've been taught to lie.
Yeah.
And I've been taught secrets. So I created stories in my head, fantasies that would take me away from my reality. Because no matter how old you are, guys, violation is violation.
Yeah, true.
You want to run away from it. So I became a storyteller to myself. I created a world. Before the Truman Show even was invented, I was Truman. Before the Truman Show even became a hit on television, I was Truman. I believed that everything that was happening was not real. That my mom and my dad were not my mom and my dad, because if they were, they would get me out of that. I believed that this violation wasn't happening, that everybody around knew it because there was a group of people that were sitting there watching me like a television show. I believed it. I completely believed that this wasn't my reality. This can't be happening. And so I would escape in my thoughts. And that's not healthy. Because for a long time, I failed to live in the reality of what was happening in life. But also, I escaped from home. Once I became a teenager, and there was something called social clubs at school. I was there. I was happening. If it was scripture union, if it was I was there. Anything to spend as much time away from home as possible. If there was a family gathering, anything to be somewhere else, whether it's a camp or it's a what. And I want to say I'm grateful to my mom for allowing me to go on those camps, for allowing me to find myself in that community called Scripture Union, because for a long time, that was my safe space. No one would do anything to me there that I didn't want them to do. So I would run. Oh my gosh, I would run. I was a busy child. I was doing so many things just so that I get home and I'm tired. I eat what I need to eat and I sleep. And for that reason, I began to distance from my family. But that's not healthy.
But do they notice?
I think it's easy to attribute it to adolescence, to attribute it to me being an only girl, to just say, no, she doesn't find pleasure in being here because there's no other girls. It's just boys.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that contributed. Maybe if I had a sister and I was distant, it would have been noticed.
Yeah.
But no, I was an only girl. I was a firstborn. There were kids, these boys that are now men. They were kids to me. We didn't have the same interests.
Yeah.
And remember, by this time, I had found my complete hiding place in religion, in Christianity, in spirituality. So I was engrossed in this Bible, God and me, what walk, in this journey of evangelizing and what. You know the things you do with scripture in it.
Yes.
So I was so engrossed in that. I almost became maybe freaky, but it was my way of escaping. And probably my mom found safety in it because it was godly.
Yes. I was just going to say, at least you chose, I don't know, should I say chose that route? Because others would have gone a way different route.
That's it. I could have gone into clubbing.
Yeah.
I could have gone into drinking.
Prostitution even.
I could have gone into prostitution because that's all I knew.
Exactly.
I could have gone into drugs. I guess also, you know, sometimes you TD Jake says every blessing comes with a burden.
Exactly. Yeah, true.
So probably I was blessed in the midst of my burden because the town I grew up in was very quiet, very slow, reserved kind of community. So there were things we were not exposed to. Because sometimes I don't understand. These are things you don't just share. But at the same time, I also realized that there's so many people out there that they've gone through the most.
Similarly.
And if somebody doesn't tell them they've also been through the most, then they won't know that it's possible to smile again. It's possible to find freedom from those things.
Hey babe, join us for part 2 of this recording on Wednesday at 10 a.m. for your convenience. God bless you.